Hey there, American Healthy Habits family. Let me guess. You've got clay soil. That heavy, sticky stuff that's impossible to dig, turns into concrete when it's dry, and becomes soup when it's wet? And every gardening article tells you the same thing. Amend your clay soil, add compost, add sand, add gypsum, till it in. That's hundreds of dollars and hours of backbreaking work every single year. Here's what nobody tells you. There are vegetables that actually love clay soil. They don't just tolerate it, they produce better in clay than in that perfect garden soil everyone talks about. Today, I'm showing you 5 vegetables that thrive in unamended clay soil. No expensive products, no tilling until your back gives out. Just plant these and watch them explode with growth. Let's dive in. Why clay soil is actually good. Before we get to the vegetables, let me change how you think about clay soil. Yes, clay is heavy. Yes, it's hard to work. But here's what clay soil does have. First, it's packed with nutrients. Clay particles hold on to calcium, magnesium, potassium, all the things vegetables need. Sandy soil, those nutrients just wash away. But clay, it holds them like a sponge. Second, it retains moisture. In a drought, sandy soil dries out in days. Clay soil keeps water available to plant roots for weeks. Your vegetables won't wilt every time you forget to water. Third, and this is the big one, some vegetables actually prefer dense, compact soil. Their root systems evolved in heavy soils. They struggle in loose, fluffy soil because they can't get the resistance they need. So instead of fighting your clay soil, we're going to work with it. These 5 vegetables will show you what your clay soil can really do. Let's start with broccoli. Broccoli is a heavy feeder that loves calcium. And guess what clay soil is loaded with? Calcium. In sandy or loamy soil, you have to add lime or calcium supplements. In clay soil, it's already there. Broccoli roots go deep into that dense clay and pull up everything they need. Here's why broccoli loves clay. It needs steady, consistent moisture. Too much water, the heads rot. Not enough, they get bitter and bolt. Clay soil regulates that moisture perfectly. It drains slowly enough that roots stay hydrated, but not so slowly that they drown. The dense soil also keeps broccoli plants stable. These get top-heavy when the heads form. In loose soil, they tip over. In clay, they stand firm. Plant broccoli transplants in early spring or late summer for fall harvest. Space them 18 inches apart. Don't dig massive holes, just wide enough for the root ball. Clay soil will hold them steady. Water them in well, then let the clay do its job. The soil will stay moist for days, so you won't need to water constantly like you would in sandy soil. And here's the bonus. Broccoli planted in clay soil produces bigger, denser heads. The slow nutrient release from clay creates steady growth instead of those rapid growth spurts that make loose, hollow heads. Harvest when heads are tight and dark green. In clay soil, they'll hold longer before flowering than they would in lighter soils. Next up, cabbage. If broccoli loves clay, cabbage is obsessed with it. Cabbage needs 3 things: tons of nutrients, steady moisture, and firm soil to anchor those heavy heads. Clay soil provides all 3 naturally. Here's what makes cabbage perfect for clay. It's a brassica, just like broccoli, so it needs that calcium-rich environment. But cabbage heads get huge. We're talking 5, 8, even 10-pound heads. In loose soil, the plants fall over under their own weight. In clay, the dense soil acts like concrete anchors. The moisture retention is critical for cabbage. If the soil dries out and then gets watered heavily, the heads split wide open, ruined. Clay soil prevents that by maintaining consistent moisture levels. Plant cabbage transplants in early spring for summer harvest, or midsummer for fall harvest. Space them 12 to 8 inches apart depending on variety. Here's the key: don't overwater. That's the mistake people make. They think clay soil needs constant watering. It doesn't. Stick your finger 2 inches into the soil. If it's moist, don't water. Clay holds moisture way longer than you think. Cabbage in clay soil grows slowly and steadily. That's good. Fast growth in amended soil creates loose heads that don't store well. Slow growth in clay creates tight, dense heads that can sit in your refrigerator for months. Harvest when heads are firm and solid. Give them a squeeze. They should feel like a softball, not a sponge. Now let's talk kale. Kale is the ultimate clay soil vegetable. It actually tastes better when grown in heavy soil. Here's why. Kale develops its sweetness from slow, steady growth. In loose, amended soil with lots of nitrogen, kale grows fast, but it's bitter and tough. In clay soil, growth is slower, and that creates tender, sweet leaves. Kale also loves the trace minerals in clay soil. It's a nutrient-dense vegetable, and it pulls iron, manganese, and other minerals from clay that wouldn't be available in sandy soil. The deep taproot of kale breaks through clay easily. Unlike shallow-rooted vegetables that struggle in compacted soil, kale's roots actually use that density. They push down deep, anchoring the plant and accessing moisture even during dry spells. Plant kale transplants or direct sow seeds in early spring or late summer. Space plants 12 inches apart. In clay soil, kale is practically indestructible. Here's what I love about kale in clay. It's a cut-and-come-again crop. You harvest outer leaves and the plant keeps producing for months. That long harvest window works perfectly with clay's slow nutrient release. Kale grown in clay soil is also more cold-hardy. The dense soil insulates roots better than loose soil. Brussels sprouts are another clay soil champion. These are the most impressive vegetable to grow in clay because they get massive. The stalks grow 3 feet tall and produce dozens of sprouts. In loose soil, they need staking. In clay, they stand on their own. Brussels sprouts need an incredibly long growing season, 90 to 180 days depending on variety. That slow growth timeline matches perfectly with clay soil's slow nutrient release. Here's the secret. Brussels sprouts need cold weather to develop sweetness, but they also need stable moisture throughout the growing season. Clay provides that. The soil stays moist during summer heat, then as fall arrives and growth slows, the sprouts develop their flavor. Plant Brussels sprouts in midsummer for fall and winter harvest. Yes, winter. These things tolerate hard freezes. I've harvested them 24 inches apart. They get big. Don't amend the soil. Just dig a hole, pop in the transplant, firm the clay around it. Water them in, then basically forget about them. The clay soil will keep them going. As the plant grows, the bottom leaves will yellow and fall off. That's normal. The plant is putting all its energy into those sprouts forming along the stalk. After the first frost, start harvesting from the bottom up. Twist the sprouts off the stalk. The ones at the top will keep developing. Brussels sprouts grown in clay soil are denser and nuttier than ones grown in amended soil. The slow growth creates tight, flavorful sprouts instead of those loose, bitter ones you get from plants that grew too fast. Last one, peas. Peas are special because they don't just tolerate clay soil, they actually improve it while they grow. Peas are nitrogen fixers. They pull nitrogen from the air and store it in root nodules. When the plant dies, that nitrogen gets released into the soil. So peas actually fertilize your clay for the next crop. Here's why peas work in clay. They're a cool season crop that grows in spring and fall when clay soil is naturally moist. They don't need you to break your back digging or amending. Just poke seeds into the soil and they'll grow. The vining types need support, but bush peas stand on their own. Either way, the roots appreciate the density of clay. Peas have delicate root systems that can dry out in sandy soil. In clay, they stay consistently moist. Plant peas in early spring as soon as the soil is workable. Direct sow the seeds 1 inch deep, 2 inches apart. In clay soil, you don't even need to thin them. They'll produce fine at that spacing. Here's the best part. Peas in clay soil produce longer. In sandy soil, peas produce for maybe 2 to 3 weeks before the heat kills them. In clay soil, the consistent moisture extends that harvest window to 4 to 6 weeks. Pick peas when pods are full but still bright green. They'll go from perfect to overripe in just a couple days, so check daily. After harvest, cut the plants at soil level but leave the roots in the ground. Those nitrogen-filled nodules will break down and feed whatever you plant next. Now let's talk about what not to plant in unamended clay soil. First, carrots and other root vegetables. Everyone tries this. They all fail. Carrots need loose soil to grow straight and long. In clay, they fork, twist, and stay stunted. Same with parsnips, beets, radishes. Skip them unless you're willing to amend. Second, tomatoes and peppers. These need excellent drainage. Clay soil stays too wet and their roots rot. You'll get yellowing leaves, stunted growth, and eventually the plants just die. Save yourself the heartbreak. Third, anything that says well-drained soil required on the seed packet. That's code for won't work in clay. The vegetables I showed you today, broccoli, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, and peas, are the ones that actually thrive without amendments. They're adapted to dense, heavy soil. If you want to grow tomatoes, build raised beds and fill them with amended soil. But for these 5 vegetables, plant them directly in your clay. They'll outproduce anything you could grow in perfect soil. There you have it. The 5 vegetables that love clay soil and produce like crazy. Stop spending money trying to fix your clay. Stop breaking your back tilling in amendments. Plant these 5 vegetables and let your clay soil do what it does best. Hold nutrients, retain moisture, and grow incredible food. If this helped you, hit that subscribe button. Next video, I'm covering the May garden tasks you need to know. See you then.